If you listen to much of the mainstream media, you'll hear that the Democratic Party nomination is essentially wrapped up. You hear all these questions sounding something like, why is Bernie Sanders still in the race? Doesn't he realize he has no shot of winning? And as usual, the mainstream media is simply refusing to recognize facts. So instead of the rhetoric and the establishment pandering, let's get to those facts. First, let's look at the delegate count and the states that the candidates have already won. So here's the map. Hillary Clinton has swept all throughout the South and has won all the Midwestern states with the exception of Michigan. She won in Nevada and she squeaked by in Massachusetts. Now, Bernie Sanders has won throughout New England except for Massachusetts. He's won throughout the American heartland and he won the Democrats abroad primary as well. Now, what has this translated to in the delegate count? Well, Hillary Clinton has 1,163 pledged delegates. Bernie Sanders has 844 pledged delegates, and this is a 319 pledged delegate lead for Hillary Clinton. And you need 2,383 delegates total to win the nomination. Okay, a lot of numbers. Now, I'm going to pull up this map again. Now, look at the states that have already held the primaries and the caucuses. Hillary Clinton's supposed southern firewall. It held up and it delivered her much of this delegate lead. But much of those southern states, they're now gone. The huge industrial Midwestern states, Hillary Clinton swept them all on Super Tuesday 2.0. Yes, she did. But again, now they're all gone. Now look at the states that have yet to hold elections. You have all throughout the West. They have not voted yet. You have the left coast. You have Cali, Washington, Oregon. Washington and Oregon. They're very favorable for Bernie Sanders. California does not vote until June, but it's a huge prize with 475 delegates. It looks to be very promising for Bernie Sanders. It's the liberal holy grail, bro. But it's also a tremendous Latino population, so we'll certainly see how that goes. Then you have huge portions of the Southwest. You have Utah and Arizona, states that are voting tomorrow, actually. Bernie Sanders will most likely win in Utah. Arizona is kind of like a toss-up. The Latino vote, just like in California, would definitely be an X factor. Then you have much of the Mountain West. You have Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, all looking very, very favorable for Bernie Sanders. Idaho is voting tomorrow, so keep an eye on that state. Then you have the Northeast, you have the Mid-Atlantic states, you have New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, New Jersey. New York looks to be a state where Bernie Sanders could definitely stay competitive and maybe even pull an upset. It's another liberal holy grail, but New York City, it's tremendously diverse with many Latinos and blacks turning out to vote. That'll be very interesting to see. Pennsylvania, a very promising state for Bernie Sanders as well. It's kind of similar to Michigan in many aspects. A lot of union membership and participation. Pittsburgh and Western PA, Philly, they were all hit very, very hard by these terrible trade deals and globalization. Bernie's message could definitely resonate in that state. But here's the bottom line, man. Bernie Sanders has the potential to sweep the next 9 states which are voting. Arizona, Idaho, Utah, Alaska, Hawaii, Washington, Wisconsin, Wyoming, New York. He could very well sweep the next 9 states, and this could drastically close the delegate lead that Hillary Clinton currently has. So when I turn on CNN and MSNBC and Washington Post, I read these publications about the New York Times, it amazes me when I pick up this just dismissive attitude saying, oh, Bernie, he has no shot of winning, the race is over. Okay, you know, you are entitled to your own opinion, but the facts are just not on your side. Hillary Clinton, she was very lucky to have the southern states largely go first. She does extremely well in the black community, something which amazes me. We can save that for a later video. And the states where she was supposed to win and win big, yes, she won. And she won by huge margins. But guess what? The map was in her favor for the first half of the race. Absolutely. Now the map turns tremendously into Bernie's favor for the next part of this race. He's going to win many of these states. And he's going to win many of these states by huge margins. And he will keep eating away at that delegate lead all the way to the convention. Yes, Bernie Sanders can still win the Democratic Party nomination. This race is miles and miles from over. But I want to make one more point here. If Bernie Sanders wins or loses, one thing remains the same. He has started a revolution. A 74-year-old Democratic Socialist from Vermont has started a progressive revolution. For decades, America has transitioned from a democracy to an oligarchy. There are a few rich and powerful special interests. They control our political system, and they use this corrupt political system to continue supporting a rigged economy. This is the reality. And the American people, we've essentially been forced to choose between corporate sellouts and even bigger corporate sellouts. This has frustrated us to the point that now of the vast majority of the nation no longer even votes. But here comes Bernie Sanders. He's coming in with this message of fixing the rigged economy and getting money out of the political system. He's waking people up to the current reality. He's introducing the radical idea of actually creating a government that works for the American people. And regardless of if Bernie Sanders wins or loses the election, that message is not going to go away. The American people have been woken up. We now know that we are being absolutely and totally screwed by these politicians and the billionaire class, and that knowledge, that anger, will not simply go away. This revolution is not going to simply go away. If these politicians continue to sell out the American people, we're not going to sit idly by and allow it to continue. We're going to march in the streets. We're going to organize, and we're going to protest on a scale that has not been seen in generations. And most importantly, 2 years from now and 4 years from now in these elections, these corrupt sellouts will not be voted back in office. Yes, Bernie Sanders still has a chance to win this Democratic nomination. We still have really good reason to be optimistic, us Bernie Sanders supporters. But you know what? Here's the certain thing. This revolution he has created will continue on. It is not going away for a very, very long time.